All right, I get to coach. I get to talk about Levius. I get to have fun. I get to name drop. I get to talk about techniques and strategy and tactics. Let's go. I'm hyped up now. Let's do it.
I did some boxing myself in the old days. The old flesh and bone kind.
Spoken like every old timer.
No, I'm just, I suppose, your lowly longshoreman. Catch. Just after the war got started, I ended up getting sick. You know, once a boxer loses an eye, let me tell you, it's over.
That's fascinating. There are lots of really, really good fighters. I personally know 2 fighters who have been retired because they got detached retinas. It's the number one thing that probably retires professional fighters. It's the reason that you're not allowed to hit people in the back of the head. It's not a gentlemanly thing like I would never hit a man with his back turned. If somebody's back is to you and you whack them in the back of the head, it bugs their eyes forward like a Looney Tune character, and they're very, very likely to get a detached retina, and that'll retire you. Now, with that in mind, there are some very, very famous fighters that have fought supposedly with one eye, where they've lied to athletic commissions, or they've paid people off, or they've found ways to keep going even though they had that impairment. Most famously, Harry Greb, a middleweight great, who supposedly fought the last 3 years of his career completely blind in his left eye, and Joe Frazier, who fought Muhammad Ali twice and George Foreman once blind in his left eye, which is insane.
Now hit them, just like I told you to do.
Oh, what a good feeling.
Nah, don't put so much into it. Clench your fist and try to snap your punch. Listen.
This is all good advice.
Width. Bend your knees a bit, not too much. Left fist up here, just above your eyes, like this with elbows in. Aim and strike.
Spectacular coaching advice. He says, don't push your punches. He says, snap your punches. He describes what's an accurate boxing stance. He's teaching this kid the fundamentals and the way that he should be standing and the way that he should be structuring his body that's going to give him success all the way to the top. I'm excited to see where this is going to go.
Now let's unlock your right cross. I wonder if that could be your knockout move. Listen.
Some alluding here, perhaps.
You plant your right foot forward and be sure to rotate your hips. Then always remember to move your center of gravity. Always remember to shift your weight into the punch. Just like that.
So I don't know if I agree with that coaching advice. Let me go back and watch his mechanics again. I'm gonna coach the coach here. Let's see. So he says always shift your weight into the punch.
Plant your right foot forward and be sure to rotate your hips. Then always remember to move your center of gravity. Always remember to shift your weight into the punch.
There, so that's the part that I don't like. So he switches to southpaw as he throws that cross. So he says, always remember to shift your weight into the punch. You're really going to find that you have the most success and you're the most defensible following a punch. If you can keep your weight 50-50, you can keep your center of gravity low. You don't want to be throwing that rear hand and letting it carry you into a whole different stance. That's going to leave you vulnerable in the middle while you're square, and it's also going to cheat you out of space to accelerate that shot because your power side hand is now your lead side hand. All right, I liked everything he was saying up until this point. Let's see where this goes. Hey, great cut. So it's interesting, when it cuts to him throwing it as an adult, he's throwing that cross correctly, and he's not shifting to southpaw.
What time do you start practice tomorrow, 8 or 9?
5 a.m.
That early? Oh my God. Whatever. I'll see you then. I'm off to bed now.
I love that scene. My wife put this together for me, and she's got to wake up at 5 in the morning every day with me so that we can gear up and go to the gym and do all the stuff that we have to do. So it's really, really funny seeing this young lady less than excited to be up that early. She's doing her road work, though. She's screaming like she don't like it, but she's doing it. It's more than I can say for all my amateurs. It's tough to convince boxers to run, but you gotta. If you don't run, you don't fight.
Why does he have to run like this if he's so talented?
Hard work beats talent if talent doesn't work hard, all right? The reason he's so talented is because he runs like this, all right? His talent isn't an excuse to not do his road work. Wow, nice venue. All right, so we're into the real fighting here. Oh, this is fascinating. Coach screaming from the sidelines.
Is that all you're bringing? I expected more.
I love him talking smack. Let me talk about a couple things here. I'm seeing a whole bunch of stuff going on here that I think is really, really compelling. So the first thing is I love that they're wearing MMA gloves. I love that they're wearing gloves that allow them to punch the way that you would actually punch with the anatomy of your hand. Boxing gloves are wonderful, but they're very forgiving. You're not ever really punished for just trying to use your hand like a bludgeon. If I could change one thing in modern boxing, I'd keep a very, very similar rule set, but I'd have them fight in MMA gloves because I think that that encourages a purer, more martial arts centric, more self-defense centric technique. The one downside to that is if you're wearing MMA gloves, it's tough to stop people from getting poked in the eye. It's tough to stop finger injuries. But let's hope in this fictional world, those aren't things that are an issue here. I love his coach banging on the canvas on the sidelines. You'll get yelled at if you make too much noise and you whack on the mats, but I love his enthusiasm because I get yelled at events all the time for acting that way. So I'm liking his coach so far. Spoken like a coach, always wants defense, always wants his fighter to be safe, doesn't want him to be doing risky things.
All you're bringing. I expected more.
Interesting. So he intentionally attacked his arm there, and he looks like he damaged that shoulder.
Why is he switching stances like that?
I love that his coach says, what is he doing? Why is he switching stances like that? When my first introduction to the coach here was him teaching this kid to switch stances when he throws his two. Wonderful. I love it. Let's talk though. Why is he switching stances like that? There's a saying in boxing that most switch hitters are just bad at fighting out of two stances. This isn't always the case. There are lots of really good high-level switch hitters. You look at a guy like a Terrence Crawford or a guy like a Marvin Hagler. They're excellent switch hitters. However, what a lot of guys do when they're developing is they find certain techniques and tactics feel good out of orthodox and certain techniques feel good out of southpaw, and they build these two incomplete games that fill in each other's gaps. And this doesn't sound like a problem until you realize the pace that boxing happens at. It happens at such a fast pace that if you have to switch stances to access certain techniques and tactics, you're gonna start falling behind and you're gonna be vulnerable in those moments that you're switching. You're not gonna be able to keep up with the pace that your opponent sets. I'm not opposed to switch hitting, but I only allow my guys to do it once they've built an entirely functional game out of one stance, and then they can practice from the other stance to build an additional functional game.
Switching stances like that.
Good, nice versatile lead hand as a southpaw. Leaps in with a big rear hand. We'll call that the Vi special. Misses it, he's there to get punished. He counters the counter. Awesome. Wow, that was spectacular. Beautiful work, beautiful work. You know, we talk about in boxing a lot, everybody wants to think ahead of their opponent. They want to counter their opponent. On my channel, I talk about being proactive a lot. Something that's important to remember is in this constant arms race of countering, you don't want to think too far ahead. It's like rock, paper, scissors, because then you can think yourself in a circle and you can get in trouble anyway. People talk about paralysis by analysis. What you want to be is you want to think about what your opponent's going to do and you want to be exactly one step ahead of them. So this was beautiful from the main character here where he gives him this big, obvious punch. That's bait. Okay? He lunges in with this big shot. He knows it's going to miss. His opponent does the right thing, he makes that shot miss, and he's there to counter, but then he had this backup plan to swing around back into his original stance and counter with that powerful, powerful shot. I don't know the technology on display here with the mechanical arms, but the tactics are sound.
Just watch. Huh? Look, the elbow.
That's slick. Stepping around to make a blind spot from the referee, then landing an elbow strike?
Of course, it's against the rules.
But the ref didn't see it, and any amateur wouldn't either.
This is fascinating for a million different reasons. Firstly, I love that they're incorporating tape study in this boxing narrative, because that's something that a boxer is going to spend so much time doing, and a coach is going to spend so much time doing, is studying fighters to see what their strengths are, what their weaknesses are, what their tendencies are, pattern them out, and learn how to approach them. And it's fascinating here seeing this fighter, who sounds like they're setting up as a villain, throwing an elbow. I will say, my very first boxing coach used to say, every good boxer knows how to throw a good elbow. So most boxers are going to understand the mechanic for throwing an elbow. And then it's also interesting listening to him talk about how he hides it from the ref, because that's a real thing you see in fights. If you look at fighters like Floyd Mayweather, you look at fighters like Bernard Hopkins, you look at fighters like Andre Ward, you look at guys who are considered savvy veterans. This is what you would call a veteran trick, where you're hiding something from the ref so that you can get away with it. This is having the brain space and the capacity to think about other variables other than just the person in front of you that you're fighting. Being able to think about the ref, being able to think about the judges, being able to think about ring position. These are all things that you got to free up space for, and that's why they're called veteran tactics. Some people use the term veteran tactics just to mean dirty tactics.
Looks like he uses highly refined techniques.
His opponent, it's not looking too good for him.
He died.
Huh?
30 minutes after the medics
Yikes.
arrived. A depressed skull fracture with cerebral hemorrhaging was the official cause of his death.
You hear people say all the time, you can't play boxing. You hear people say all the time, boxing's not a sport, it's a fight. However you want to frame it. Boxing is dangerous. It's something that you can get hurt in. There are a dozen people a year who die in professional boxing. And usually there are good reasons for that. It's not because they're letting themselves get punched with giant metal arms. It's usually because they cut too much weight and they're dehydrated and their cerebrospinal fluid is thick and doesn't absorb force well, or it's because they took an extended beating, there was negligence on behalf of their coaches, the officials, or the refs, or very, very frequently, it's because they got knocked out under a different athletic commission very, very recently, and then they jumped ship to a new athletic commission in a different country or a different state that doesn't share record keeping with that other athletic commission, and all of a sudden they're getting knocked out in quick succession, and this is a lot of damage for them to take. You gotta respect the sport.
No matter how much he hides behind
Good
gear,
footwork from
there's
Coach.
no way to hide from your age advantage.
The strain on his heart will be immense. After the first few rounds, his steam pressure will start.
I love the design of that villain, that really steampunky villain with the handlebar mustache. Maybe my wife could edit it in here. For a while, when I was getting really into the history of boxing, thinking about John L. Sullivan and William Cutting and all these old school bare knuckle boxers, I had a little handlebar mustache going. I don't have it anymore, but maybe she'll give you a pick.
That's our chance. Malcolm will lose steam and stop charging at some point. You keep wide until then. You hear me? That's when you spin hook him.
You
You saw
spin
the
hook
film,
him.
right? You're not the first to try that plan. This guy's aggressive. You try to back off. Careful. You
Hey.
slip. And it's over. Gotcha.
Oh, I love that sequence. That sequence was a lot of fun. Hold on, I want to see all that again. Hold on. Using that same tactic, stepping on the foot, throwing that uppercut up the center line. Hey, good job throwing those rips to the body. She's got good defense, and she's setting a hell of a pace for a girl that hates running. Nice job.
She's turning out to be useful in
Excellent.
unexpected ways.
Use your leg. That's it. Come on.
I love that they're making a point to show him slowly improving on dealing with the foul of this future opponent stepping on his feet. This is really, really cool because even though, nobody's building a game in actual boxing around stepping on somebody's feet, it is nice seeing the coach recognize this in tape study, seeing one of his teammates demonstrate it really effectively on him, see him get the crap kicked out of him by that teammate who's doing it, and then seeing him working on this tactic on the mitts with his coach, where his coach steps in, tries to stomp on his foot, and he pulls that foot away. Because this is the sequence of how you would address something in an actual fight camp as you train towards that event, to correct these habits and try to disarm the best tactics of your future opponent. All right, it's fight night.
What is that? What a cheap shot!
Great jab work. Mixing up his rhythm. Tries for the elbow, tries for the uppercut, tries to step on the foot. Hey! This kid would have been horizontal by now if his coach hadn't done his tape study, his teammates hadn't been helping him. Right off the bat, Mustache Man over here comes out with all the tactics that they identified. He tries to step on his foot, he tries to catch him with that elbow, he tries to catch him and hold and hit with that uppercut, and the kid uses your first line of defense, which is distance. All right? It doesn't matter what somebody's doing, if you're not in range to get hit with that thing, you don't have to deal with it. Now, the downside of distance is distance doesn't necessarily set you up to counter, to fight back, but it keeps you alive and it lets you survive the exchange so that you can make adjustments and learn to win in the future. Great head movement. Interesting guard. I'm gonna call it right now. I've never seen that before, but if you guarded like this has got to be inferior to every other guard because no matter what, you're fighting one-handed. This hand is behind the other hand. If you're doing a cross block like this, you can punch with either hand. If you're doing a half guard, you can punch with either hand. High guard, you can punch with either hand. Long guard, but literally one of your hands is acting as a barrier to the other. Seems like a bad move.
Yes, he's keeping up with the speed of his attack somehow.
The fruits of my special training.
I love the athlete taking credit for all of this next to the coach. Nice. Good looking
Very
boxing.
nice. You've trained yourself well. Now let's see how you deal with this.
Ooh, he's got a trick up his sleeve. Wow. So, interestingly enough, kid gets hit with the very first thing that the coach taught him. His opponent throws a big right hand from orthodox, switches to southpaw on his way through, gains a little extra distance, and whacks him with it.
Good recovery.
And again, we see it damaging that arm armor.
He dodged it, right?
What's wrong? Didn't you train for this?
Oh no! Good, he got it. Interesting. That's really cool. If you look at it, that's called a collapsing elbow, and that's something you see a lot in MMA. Specifically, what would be a good example? Somebody like a John Jones, who's really long, where he'll throw a punch, and then he'll frame, and he'll fold into that elbow off of that hit. I also love how the shoulder armor makes the shoulder itself a whole nother line of defense. Obviously in boxing you can shoulder roll, you can block with your shoulder, but I've seen 3 or 4 examples where people seem to be prioritizing using the shoulder to guard instead of moving their head or instead of using their arms as defense. Oh, the kid goes down. Do they do 8 counts in this rule set? Okay, they must. He's back on his feet. Good. Gets elbow side, gets out.
Come on. You just run away?
My old coach Bob Miller used to say, you are always either getting in, getting out, or getting off. You're never just hanging out in punch range in an exchange, okay? You're either closing all the way in to tie up, you're exiting, which is what this kid uses head movement to do here, or you're creating opportunities to hit. You gotta be way better than somebody or be a hell of a risk taker to just hang out in the pocket with somebody.
Your head! Be careful!
Great visual storytelling, showing that hand open like he's trying to scoop him and grab him. Good, he's learning, he's layering in his defense. And here comes that right hand. He slides out. Nice. Good, paying attention to his feet, good distance control. This is fun. This is good looking boxing. Even though the rule set is a little bit different, all of the tactics on display are the same. There you go, he figured him out. That looks familiar.
What?
A sidewinder.
A sidewinder? Forgive me, I'm confused. What's a sidewinder? He jumps in with the right hand, plants his feet, then throws the left hook. There we go. Nice. That same side parry. This is great. Beautiful. And then you see that opposite side defense get his opponent into trouble. This is a lot of fun. I'm going back. Hold on. This is great. There's a lot happening here, though, really, really fast. Okay, so they're working. Boom, same side parry. He catches that shot with his right hand. If he just caught that shot with his right hand, you can see his opponent's right hand is up, but he's created an opening on this side and he fires from that same side and it lands. And then in immediate contrast to that, his opponent catches the main character's right hand with his right hand. That's a big no-no, because that leaves you vulnerable on that side. You've brought your defenses all the way across your body, and he is immediately punished for that, which is awesome. There are good boxing lessons on display here, just good martial arts lessons in general. This is really, really fun. I love their focus on distancing and footwork. Hey, they tied up, we got some blood. He sees. He's cut, we can hurt him. Nice. Wonderful. It's not quite a spinning front fist, or a spinning back fist, it's a spinning front fist. I love that moment there where they both split punches. They both punch at the same time, but because the main character gets his head out of the way and because he shoots inside of his opponent's defenses, his punch is the one that finds its home, and he's protected by his whole arm as a barrier from his mustachioed opponent's attack. And we've got Mecha Brock Lesnar over here.
Bring two at a time. Hugo, let me ask you
Give us another
something.
pose.
Oh, interesting. Have other characters had mechanical legs? I've seen the mechanical arms, and I noticed that our main character has one normal biological arm, but this guy's got 4 mechanical limbs.
Training yet.
Hugo, tell me the secret behind your strength.
Foolish question. I've been the strongest since I was a kid. I was born this way.
What a villain. I love the audacity to say, I've been the strongest since I was a kid. I was born this way. Like he doesn't have 4 mechanical limbs. Like...
One more question. With the G2 promotion match only a month away, how's your training going?
It doesn't matter. No matter how my training is going, the outcome is the same every single time. Absolute.
This guy's missing the point here. He's losing the lead.
Right?
Yeah, that's correct.
So he says, I was born this way. It doesn't matter how I'm training. He's falling into the pitfall that a lot of guys have when they have success, where they work so hard to get the success. And then once they're there, they stop working hard, you know? I don't know what his training's actually looking like. Maybe he's working really hard, maybe it's looking great, but that's a bad attitude to have. I think we said right at the beginning of this video, I actually love how this narrative echoes, you know? Hard work beats talent when talent doesn't work hard. Even if he was born this way, if he's not working hard and my main character is there pushing, fighting, working hard, getting his rounds in, getting his mileage in, he's gonna get this guy.
For the promotion bout, it's rumored that you'll be fighting Levius. His skill and popularity have been on the rise for the past 3 years. Is he a boxer that could give you some problems?
Also, if he's going to be fighting Levius, obviously no weight classes in this sport, which is fascinating. I think that's really cool. That's one of my favorite things about like sumo wrestling is such a pure martial art because you're not like, oh, you're the best for being 165 pounds. You're either the best or you're not the best. And it's fun watching small guys apply different tactics to have success versus the way big guys apply different tactics to have success to find out who is actually, in a true, rote, real sense, the best fighter.
I'm worrying about other boxers. No matter what I'm thinking, my fists don't care.
All the same, this could be the fight of the century. If you lose, have you thought about what you...
Do I look like an idiot who thinks about losing before?
He's like an 80s bully.
Is that what you think? Huh?
No.
He's gonna stuff this guy in a locker. This is great. Okay, so he's not fighting Levius. This is a tune-up match.
A slippery one.
Powerhouse.
You're too slow.
That movement combined with that body. He's blessed and he clearly trains hard.
I noticed something about AJ. From the beginning of the match to now, the rhythm is just as calm. Little wasted motion. Wasted motion.
All right, that's my wife being funny, and she's 100% right. You know, I noticed something, very little wasted motion, all right? Meanwhile, this dude's slinging around like a wacky wailing inflatable tube man over here at a car dealership. This is wonderful. There's a lot of wasted motion. Oh.
Stop it now!
Brock Lesnar over here is getting whooped. His coach is trying to throw the towel in. Wasted motion over here is on the attack. She pushes the ref away.
You can stop. The fight's over.
Wow. What is going on here? I'm not trying to be mean. They're trying to do like a Samus reveal here. Like, oh my God, it was a girl the whole time. It was obviously a girl.
You're the one who...
Oh, she's fighting the ref? Is Levius the ref? I don't know what's going on. This is a mess. Punches him right out of the ring.
She really is a problem, huh? Honestly, I have no idea how to solve it.
Me and his
No matter
coach
how much
once
power
again
she has,
echo
I'll be
similar
fine if she can't hit
sentiments.
me.
I suppose you're right, but no other person punches anything like that. How could we practice against it?
How about I try sparring with both of you?
I've seen people do this. I've seen people spar like two guys at once, and I've heard coaches defend it, where they say that it's like, it helps with your just kind of mental capacity to focus on lots of different variables and lots of different things, or it helps with your reaction time, or it helps with you be hyper-focused on your ring position to not let yourself get surrounded. I don't adhere to this. You know, if you need two people, then you need to be working with better people. But I guess in this universe, these are the best people at this sport in the whole world. So this is what they got. This is fascinating. Let's see.
Why don't you watch what you're doing, you hairy pig? Just look at yourself. You move like an injured slug.
What'd you expect? I haven't fought in years.
I don't care.
They're tripping all over each other. She can't talk like that to the coach. He's got to get control of this team, all right?
I'm sorry, kid.
Perhaps I could help.
The reveal.
You?
Yo, Mustache Man is back.
Listen, AJ's punches will be coming from your blind spots. The first thing we're going to do is forget about dodging.
Huh? What are you saying? Weren't you at the Hugo fight?
No, but I watched the film at the association. You, little lady.
Natalia!
Whatever, just stand there. Back up to attack from behind. The moment Levius attacks, I want you to throw a punch from his blind spot.
Huh? There's no way he could dodge that.
I just told you to forget about dodging. Pay attention. Throw off her timing. AJ attacks very precisely. That's our advantage. Levius, immediately when you sense the attack, move to your blind spot. Just the width of a fist.
That's something that I say to my athletes a lot. You know, we talk about no wasted movement. You only need to move, I always tell people, either a fist's width or a head's width out of the way. You don't need to be throwing yourself 2-3 feet to your left or to your right, because then you're gonna make him miss by a mile and you're not gonna be there to be able to hit him back. He's talking about rhythm, all right? He's talking about using your rhythm and using your timing and taking advantage of an opponent who might be way faster than you. Rote speed. Speed is like an actual physical attribute, only matters for the first round or two of a fight. Once somebody adjust to that, and once somebody gets your rhythm, it doesn't matter how fast you are. If they know when you're gonna punch, they're gonna get out of the way before you even begin that attack. What matters is your ability to play with rhythm, long beats and half beats to have success. And I think what he's gonna talk about here is an opponent who's head hunting, or an opponent who's always punching for where you're gonna be, or for always punching for where you're at, is easier to defend yourself from than an opponent who's punching for where you're gonna be. In boxing, this is called leading. If you're fighting somebody who's a small little like bobber and weaver trying to move in on you, think like a Joe Frazier character, all right? You're gonna punch for where they're gonna be. You're gonna punch for their chest. You're gonna punch for their shoulders, so as they're ducking and as they're slipping, they're moving into those shots.
Oh, I think I see. If you shift the point of impact, it will minimize all the damage.
I'm not holding anything back. Now, get ready. Hit him, little lady! You won't see the blow coming. Forget your eyes.
Forget my eyes?
Don't wait to see their fist. You'll feel it flowing.
Flowing? You did that with just your senses? I want to try.
I love this. I gotta watch this whole show. I'm having so much fun watching these bits and pieces because they're talking about really good boxing tactics. This is excellent. He says, don't use your eyes. And he's absolutely right. You're playing with rhythm here, okay? You're learning about lane theory. You're learning about what you're vulnerable to where and what you're vulnerable to when, and he's telling him to think ahead of it. You might not have the rote speed to deal with these problems, but if you can understand the system, you can keep yourself safe. This is wonderful.
Remember what I said. Concentrate.
I will.
All right, he's getting better. This is just like that same little montage with the footsteps where we see him slowly making improvements.
Not bad.
Hey, let's go. Oh, they're in the fight.
She's adapted.
You see, you've learned a trick with your feet. Come on, now you're just repeating it.
There we go.
Don't get cocky.
I love all the talking in here, too. I'm a talker when I fight.
Intentional. So we're not keeping the fight clean.
This is fun. I love, we talk about veteran tricks. He's becoming a veteran. I love that he like trained with his former opponent, Rocky 3 style, like Rocky and Apollo Creed on him. And she's not just fighting him and who he used to be. She's fighting him and all the other people that he knocked off that totem pole on his way to the top. This is really, really fascinating. I love that she's targeting that liver side. It's interesting that they have armor there, not just on their shoulders, but on their body. All right, he's trying it again. Spins all the way around. Did he hit her? Yo, this is great. I love how they introduce these bombastic elements here. She's back up.
Is that from the pressure?
She's going Super Saiyan. She's actually going Super Saiyan. Ooh. All right, Wild Man. So, this is awesome. I'm having fun, but I do want to use this to talk about tactics, okay? So, something I say to my fighters all the time. Bad habits don't go away, all right? We get better at creating a system that insulates and hides and protects you from the repercussions of those bad habits. But when you get tired, when you get hurt, you can see years of training get stripped off of somebody. And I also tell people, when you run out of skills and when you run out of tactics, the only thing that you have left to problem solve with is speed, power, and aggression. So we see this girl is on the losing end of this fight, and all of a sudden she's gone beast mode. She's become a savage. She's resorted to coming in aggressive like Vanderlei Silva in Pride. Even though that feels like that should make her easier to beat, it's like a cornered animal, all right? You gotta survive that barrage. You gotta deal with that shift in tactic, aggression, strategy, and rhythm if you're gonna get that win. Sometimes these Hail Mary tactics work. We splitting punches again? Is he missing a hand? Oh, they're both down. Where's the ref? Where are the officials? Is there a ringside doctor? Or are they just gonna lay next to each other in the middle of the ring? I assume this is like the fight of the century or something.
Home, and yours for as long as it pleases you.
Thank you.
Is she coming to train with him now, just like Mustache Guy? This is great. I'm friends with almost every person I've ever fought. You respect each other afterwards. You know, you guys bled and you worked hard and you helped each other level up. And that's Levius. That was spectacular. That was a lot of fun. What can I say? Super bombastic, super over the top. I appreciate that it's not just pure boxing that they're fiddling with, that it's this kind of fantastical, steampunky sport. Because that gives them leeway to be able to play with this stuff. It gives them leeway to be able to do spinning back fists and be able to hold and hit and step on feet and elbow and punch arms and have all that armor. And instead of thinking about like fatigue and conditioning, they get to think about steam power. Levius is really cool. The same way that I talked about Arcane and I said they did their research, Arcane gets it. I will say Levius did its research in a different way, where Arcane looked like boxing and it understood the basic principles of boxing to make those fights and the choreography flow. I will say Levius really shines in its understanding of prep and its understanding of a fight camp, where it's really cool seeing them identify problems, learn from problems, address these problems, make these weaknesses strengths, and then demonstrate them under pressure, under the duress and the composure test that is a fight. Levius, 10 out of 10. Love all the fight scenes, love the highlight my wife put together for me, and I guess I'm gonna have to watch the whole show.